start lesson 17, The Pied Piper of Hamelin, part 2. So let's read. Ravi said, "This promises to be an amusing story. How did the mayor get rid of the rats?" So Anand said, "He didn't do anything himself. He got it done very easily. Can you guess how?" So Ashok said, "Perhaps he made all the carpenters in the town work day and night, had all the old traps mended and got thousands of new ones made." So Anand said, "A very good suggestion indeed, but the mayor felt it would all be in vain." So Ravi said, "It would have taken a long time to get all the traps mended and thousands of new ones made. And perhaps there were not enough carpenters in the town. If I had been a councillor, I would have suggested poisoning the rats. I expect the mayor got all the rats poisoned." So Anand said, "How can you do that without getting the people poisoned as well? No one in Hamelin could eat food before the rats had tasted it." So Ashok said, "Did the mayor get all the rats' holes plugged?" So the Anand said, "What he did was much simpler than getting all rat holes plugged. He had all the rats taken away in a day." So Ravi said, "How?" So Anand said, "You don't seem to have listened to my verses carefully. Now listen to the story." The mayor came back to the hall and closed the door behind him. As soon as he got into his chair, he was asked several questions. "How are you going to get rid of the rats? Why did you make such a rash promise?" The mayor said, "Perhaps I was rash, but I wanted to get rid of the people before I could think of getting rid of the rats." One of the councillors said, "Rats might bite and bother you in other ways, but they can't shout." The mayor said, "Now let us have some serious suggestions." Then some councillors thought of getting hundreds of carpenters to make thousands of traps. Others thought of bringing armies of cats and dogs to drive away the rats. Some others thought of plugging the rat holes or poisoning the rats. One councillor even suggested that they should get all the houses rebuilt in stone. But which rat would enter a trap when it could feast without fear on the choicest food in any kitchen or cupboard? And in a town where cats and dogs were frightened of rats to death, what use would they he? Thus the councillor found that all their suggestions came to nothing. Greatly disappointed, they were about to close the meeting when they heard somebody knocking at the door. It was the Pied Piper. He was dressed in red and yellow. He had a pipe in his hand. He was thin as a starved rat. His nose was crude and his eyes were sharp and blue. He had no beard, and on his lips were smiles that went out and in. He looked very strange indeed. The Pied Piper came in and said, "Mayor and councillors, would you like to get rid of all the rats in the town?" The mayor raised his eyes and said, "Who are you? And why do you ask this silly question? "Because I can help you. I am the Pied Piper. By means of a secret charm, I am able to draw after me all the living things on the earth or in the air." "A secret charm? What is it?" "Don't bother about it. You can pay me after I have saved you from the rats. You won't be denied anything you ask for if you can get rid of the rats for us. I will do it, and my fee is 1,000 guilders in cash." Only 1,000 guilders? Asked the mayor. You will be paid whatever you want in cash, but we want it done in a week's time. You will see it done right now. So saying, the Pied Piper stepped out of the town hall. He first smiled a little smile as if he knew what charm slept in his quiet pipe. Then he started playing a tune on his pipe. As he did so, there was a noise as if a whole army were on the move, and out of the houses the rats came tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean browny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, towny rats, grave old plodders, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, family by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the piper for their lives. Ashok said, Fine, and then what did the Pied Piper do? So Anand said, He led them to the river Weser, and all the rats ran into the water and were drowned except one which swam across the river. So Ravi said, So the mayor was able to get the job done in a day after all. And that, I hope, is the end of the story. So Anand said, No. Listen. When the mayor and the councillors saw the grey rats tumbling on the black ones and the brown ones tumbling on the grey ones, and the whole army of rats following the Pied Piper, they were very amused. But when the Pied Piper went back to the mayor and asked for the cash, the mayor laughed and said, Do you think you should be paid 1,000 guilders for playing a little tune on your pipe? The piper was disappointed. He said, Only a few hours ago you thought I deserved more than 1,000 guilders, and you said I wouldn't be denied anything. I don't deny having said it, but even then 1,000 guilders is too big an amount to be paid for this job. The whole question will have to be examined by the council. However, I don't want to disappoint you. Take 50. When the Pied Piper found that he was offered only 50 guilders, he was very disappointed and angry. He said, I tell you, I don't like to be cheated. If you don't pay me my 1,000 guilders in cash, you will feel sorry for it. The mayor said, What? Do you think you deserve 1,000 guilders for playing a silly tune? You can do your worst. I don't want to be bothered with any more silly request. You want to be paid a guilder more. Take it or leave it. The Pied Piper did not take the money. Once more, he stepped out into the street. He started playing on his pipe again. But now it was a different tune. It was so charming that all the children were drawn to him, leaving their fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, brothers, and sisters. Little children came out of their houses in merry crowds. They ran and danced and followed the piper. He led them to a mountain near the town, and a door in the mountain opened. The piper stepped into the opening, and all the children except one lamb child ran into it. The door closed behind them, and they were all shut up in the hill. So Ravi said, And what did the mayor and the councillor do? So Anand said, What could they do? Their children were taken away. They must have cried and cried, but it was all in vain. So Ashok said, So the poor children were punished for the folly of the mayor. So Anand said, No, it is said that the Pied Piper led the children to another country where the little ones lived happily ever after. So here your story is finished. Tomorrow I will explain this story. Okay.